Guess what? It's episode 304 of Good Luck High Five.
That's right. You're listening to a podcast that's for people who play Magic the Gathering. Whether you're hanging out playing it online, at your kitchen table, your local game store, or you're just thinking about it in your head, we're here for you.
Have you ever played a game of Magic in your head?
You know, I'm sure I have.
We've talked about our dreams, our magic dreams that we've had before.
Yeah, that's true.
That is a real thing.
Yeah.
And I've talked about how in real life, I will hear arena sound effects played out before me. So,
yeah,
you know, we're encompassing all planes of existence, really.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm just saying sometimes maybe you're sitting around and you're like, well, I don't have anyone to play a game of Magic with right now. And the internet isn't working.
So I'm going to do a thought experiment.
I'm going to do a thought experiment where I pretend to play cards.
I always get mana screwed in those, though.
Wow. You're being a little rough. You're being a little hard on yourself in that case.
Well, that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. I'm one of your hosts, Megan.
I'm one of your hosts, Maria. And on today's show, we've got all the magic news that you can personally handle. Like we usually say, it's specifically tailored for you. So
yes,
you're welcome.
It's the correct amount of news for you.
And we're going to talk to Pro Tour champion Andrew Elenbogen.
That's right. He took down that Pro Tour just 1 week ago.
That's really strange.
I know, right? It also feels like months have passed.
It's like
in the past week.
I was talking about it in the booth, and I'm like, the Pro Tour that was last weekend.
Yes, right? When I was referencing it, writing about it, I was like, wait a second. It was only last weekend?
Spooky.
Very spooky.
And speaking of being in the booth, we're going to talk about Grand Prix Milwaukee, where we were both working on coverage last weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Things happened there.
That's true. Standard happened.
It sure did.
In the town of Milwaukee.
We're also going to bring you some updates on some of our favorite celebrities.
Yes.
Are they anyone that's relevant?
No.
Well, define relevant.
That's true. I mean, you know, for your own self.
Yeah.
Actually, some of this news might surprise you. So,
oh yeah,
there's a little teaser for you.
I know at least one part of it surprised me when you told me.
But before we do any of that, big thanks to everybody who's a supporter of ours on patreon.com/goodluck/GLHF Magic. We just love having new subscribers join our family. It's $1.25 an episode if you want to look at it that way. It's a super low amount for just helping support our show exist and helping our lives continue.
That's right. I know people, you know, you could say like $5. That's like one real nice cup of coffee.
Yeah.
In a whole month, but also get yourself the coffee too. I'm just here to tell you that.
Treat yourself.
Exactly. So we would so appreciate it if you would just pitch in $5 a month. And also, we're
Buy
not saying don't have a coffee. We're saying we believe that you can do both.
We think that you deserve it.
Exactly.
So if you become a new patron this month, please tag us in a tweet with the hashtag Patreon and coffee with a picture of your coffee.
Yay!
And you.
Yes. Or maybe you make coffee at home and you're like, I've definitely got $5.
Yeah, that's fine too.
We so appreciate it.
Big thanks to cardkingdom.com/GLHF as well. They're super awesome. Everything they do is cool. They're super supportive of all of their customers. Great customer service, really cool products, and an awesome store, too, if you're ever out in the area.
We've done a couple of videos with some of their sparring decks in the last couple of weeks, which are their pre-con brawl decks that you can get for just $15. 60 cards, $15, already sculpted so that you can sit down and play a match of brawl with it.
I'm holding the Ariel one right here. It's the Paladin of Panthers. And I was like, why is it called that? And Megan's like, because she's riding a panther.
Yeah.
I never noticed.
So Card Kingdom, they'll also help you realize things that you hadn't noticed, despite them being right there the whole time.
It's a long slogan.
That's but a very long new slogan. But you know, you gotta say what you do. And that's one of the things they do, amongst many other wonderful things.
I just want to take a quick moment to talk about our YouTube channel really fast. It's youtube.com/goodluckhighfive. This week, it's relevant to your interests, especially we have board game reviews on Monday. But this week, Megan and I actually reviewed Keyforge.
That's right. We crack open a brand new Keyforge deck.
Yeah.
Complete with its randomly generated name.
So good.
Maria also spent all weekend just reading threads of weird Keyforge deck names.
To answer the question of why is this game relevant to me as a Magic player, it's because it's Richard Garfield's newest card game.
Yeah.
So he made a new card game called Keyforge. It's pretty fun. Yeah. And it's like sealed, basically.
Yes.
And we can show you how to play and see if you're interested over on our YouTube channel. That's our video this week.
Check it out. Shout, doubt. Now I'm just rhyming.
It's time for Magic News.
That's right. Grand Prix Milwaukee was this weekend.
Grand Prix is different. Totally different. Yeah, Milwaukee was standard, and it was really cool to see it after the Pro Tour because, there's a big question. What's going to happen after all these white weenie decks take over the world?
Absolutely. And was the question, will all of those people who went into the Pro Tour being like, we're going to play Golgari because it's one of the most popular decks at the Pro Tour, the most popular deck.
Right.
Will they all just be like, I was wrong? The answer was no.
No.
So many people played Golgari.
They're like, guess
many
what?
People.
This deck is still good, and we're going to stick with it. And you know what? It paid off.
That's right. None other than Seth Manfield top 8'd with Golgari mid-range. And in his write-up, he was like, do you know what? This deck has no bad matchups.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a strong statement.
That is a strong statement.
But he is the number one ranked player in the world, so who am I to judge?
When is he not? Jeez.
That's a great point.
Well, last week he wasn't.
Why?
Because he lost the Player of the Year playoff.
Oh. Sad.
Well.
He's still number one, though. Does that affect that?
No, right now he is number one, but he wasn't Player of the Year. That's
I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. I was like, wait a second, was it
for
just
a
like
while?
Boop?
He and Luis Salvato were tied.
Yes. Okay.
That happened.
Yeah, so he's number one, and he made it to the top 8. It was pretty cool, top 8 too. But we can go more into that in detail a little bit later.
Yeah.
But the winner was a real cool dude, Adrian Sullivan.
That's right, from Wisconsin, and he did what he was known to do back in the day. Not to make him sound old, but
he's an old school player, though.
He's been playing Magic. I thought you were just gonna say he's an old player.
But to be fair, Adrian is so
he's
old.
An old player. No, he is an old school Magic player, and he's known for, especially in these control archetypes, taking his own weird twist on them.
Yeah.
And he certainly did that this weekend.
He delivered.
He came in with a Jeskai control list. There are plenty of pros going into this that did also think that Jeskai control was the way to go. Another very popular deck this past weekend.
Yes.
And he was like, but what if you're all doing it wrong and I know how to do it right?
Yeah. It was really, really cool to see somebody kind of bring a little bit of a change on a classic deck archetype.
Yeah.
And he did it, and he took the whole thing down.
I would say if you want to go back and watch some highlights, you can watch him just steal games of Magic.
Out of nowhere.
Out of freaking nowhere. There was one game in the finals, the first game of the finals.
Oh, yeah.
You should go watch.
Thought he was going to lose.
Exactly. And it looks like it, right? Because he's playing control and his opponent has a Carnage Tyrant. And it's just like attacking so much with all of his different creatures. And Adrian has to like block with Niv Mizzet and then like casts a dive down so that it survives. And he doesn't die and he survives. And on the next turn, he casts Expansion Explosion and burns his opponent out from like 15.
It was sick.
Yeah, his opponent was on 15 the turn before.
There was also a control mirror, which was his deck versus a classic Jeskai control list.
Oh, that wasn't the finals.
No,
wait, it was the finals.
Wait, what?
When was it? That was in the semis. The game I was describing.
Oh yeah.
No, it was in the finals.
I don't remember.
It was in the finals.
Yes.
And then the Jeskai mirror was in the semifinals. It was a long weekend, everybody.
You know what? Just go and watch it.
There were a lot of matches of Magic
There's very good games this weekend. That I can say with certainty.
What were you going to say in the control mirror?
Oh, there was a stack of like 10 cards.
Yeah, it's true.
10 deep stack. It was really sweet.
It was sweet.
And I don't like control mirrors. And I was like, I like this match.
Card of the weekend, Maria. Here's my take.
Go for it.
Card of the weekend, Niv Mizzet.
That card is great.
It's so good.
I agree with you.
It's so good. All these Jeskai control lists are playing it. And it's just like when that stack happened, if one player has a Niv Mizzet and the other one doesn't, well, it's just like all of these spells, I'm drawing a card and I'm pinging you for damage. And so at the end of that stack, even if the player loses their Niv Mizzet, it's like, okay, but now I have 10 cards in my hand.
Probably drew my other one.
Exactly.
Our other piece of news involves Arena.
Yes.
So now you can challenge your friends on Arena.
What?
Yeah, this is something people have been wanting for a long time. So I could be like, type in Megan's username and be like, boop, challenge me.
Wow.
And then we would battle.
Don't we also have to do you have to know the numbers after the name?
I think so.
Okay. How do you find that?
When you open up the challenge thingy on Arena, it shows you your username with your numbers.
Ooh, Oh, so there you go. If you
Yeah.
want to challenge or be challenged, you can open up the challenge thing. It'll give you your username plus some special digits after it.
The patrons in our Discord chat, I put my username in there. So if you ever want to try and like spin the wheel and get lucky,
Yeah.
you can try challenging me at any given moment. Maybe I'll be online.
You're like, oh, is Maria playing Arena right now?
And like also not in a match. Anyway, we'll do it on stream and stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because it's really, really, really fun. And by the way, there is updated user interface experience now in Arena. Everything goes faster. It's way more slick and like refined
Ooh.
now with the update, which I think
Nice.
is really cool.
Yeah.
And you can play it block constructed.
Oh, one of my favorite formats. It has not been a Pro Tour format for a long while now.
Sad face.
Years. But I still remember that the last time that it was during Theros, Born of the Gods, Journey into Nyx.
Yeah.
And I remember because it was the block constructed of the black-green constellation decks.
Oh, that was so cool.
There were so many constellation decks, and they were so cool.
I love block
and
constructed.
I loved them. And then after that, they were like, no more block constructed. And I was like, but those were the coolest decks I'd seen in forever.
If you don't know what block constructed is, it is what it sounds like. We're
Yeah.
only doing a standard deck from one block.
Exactly. So rather than say the current standard environment includes Ixalan, Dominaria, and Guilds of Ravnica, and block constructed is just like, well, just Guilds of Ravnica.
So just build with this really limited
Yes.
card pool. Makes you get creative with your deck choices. And I've been having a blast. I
Yeah.
made a super fast Boros Mentor deck, which I think is probably the best one, and a Demir Surveil deck.
Yeah, and what I also really like about it, like I mentioned, the Theros one, the Journey into Nyx block, I loved because it highlights set mechanics in a way
Yes.
that Classic Standard doesn't. If you look at a mechanic and you're like, gosh, I wish that this had made it into Standard more,
Yeah.
but like it just didn't have the cards that it needed, or like other strategies were just too powerful and it overpowered this cool thing that I wanted to see more of. That's how I felt about Constellation, for instance. You get to see that in block constructed. You get to see a really cool Mentor deck
Yeah.
where Mentor just does its thing. You get to see really cool Surveil decks where Surveil just gets to like go wild.
Yeah.
So it's super cool. I love it.
It was removed as a Pro Tour format because probably that was the only time anybody ever played it.
Yes,
So
it's true.
happy to see it revived on Arena.
Yeah. Other news, Maria.
Yes.
What's this last bit of news?
Okay, so I felt the need to update listeners. I really like to keep tabs on bands from the 90s. If you listen to our stream ever,
Yeah.
we have a pretty sweet 90s playlist.
Yes.
That I think is top notch.
Yeah.
And one of the bands that I love from the 90s is Lit. If you
Ooh.
remember Ziploc Bag.
Why are you looking at me while you say this? I obviously remember them.
Okay, great. Anyway, I was like, they have a new album out. I'm going to take a listen and see what happened. I'm going to connect this to another story in a second. I listened to it on the plane on the way back from
That's
Milwaukee, and they are a country band now.
Oh no.
And the
Didn't
story.
that also happen to Sister Hazel?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Sister
Wow.
Hazel, another one of my favorite 90s bands,
Yeah.
is also now a country band.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, it was
That's
shocking.
difficult.
Like Sister Hazel, I guess I could kind of see that because they had a little country twinge in them, but not like
Yeah.
big. But Lit, they were like alternative to the max.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
it's really sad.
I'm sorry.
I mean, if you like country, go listen to them, I guess. But like, what have you done with my band?
Well, there you go.
There's your
Lit.
90s band news.
Go listen to them if you like country.
We also have a celebrity news update.
Yes, which is what's up with John Cougar Mellencamp.
You know, we're your home for news
Exactly.
on specific celebrities.
Very specific ones. We talked about old JCM a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. We're
Yeah.
like, what is he up to? I have an update, which is that as we were putting together show notes in the airport today, you mentioned we were talking about John Cougar Mellencamp, and I don't know if you saw this, but the guy sitting across from us gave me like a thumbs up.
Are you serious?
Yes, you were too involved with your phone to realize what was going on. But he like gave me a thumbs up,
my
and
God.
then when you were like typing, he was like, I went to go see him last year.
Oh my God.
And he was like, great
That's
stuff.
great.
Great stuff. And I was like, okay.
Be like, listen to our
He was
show. You'll be really surprised.
I know, right? Anyways.
What's the news, though? This is something listeners made us aware of.
Yeah, what was the news?
The news is that he's engaged to Meg Ryan.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I remember that someone told us that, but it's just as surprising now as it was then.
I know.
Wow.
That's right. Meg Ryan, John Cougar Mellencamp, tying the knot.
Meg Ryan.
Yeah. What's she been up to
John
lately? I don't
Cougar
know. I guess
Mellencamp.
dating John Cougar Mellencamp.
I know. Wow. I can't believe that.
Shocking. Really shocking, but
How old is John Cougar Mellencamp?
I don't know.
How old is Meg Ryan?
I don't know.
Well-
Timeless. Timeless is the answer.
Her performances certainly are.
I really want to watch You Got Mail, by the way.
The way you said that sounded for a second as though you've never seen it.
Oh, no. I've definitely seen it.
It just sounded like it had just come out, and you're just like, oh, I really want to go see You've Got Mail.
This is a hot new movie at the theaters.
In the theaters.
With AOL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely
That's right.
want it deserves a rewatch. You know,
AOL.
if only for the little dial-up tone for nostalgia. Anyway, we have veered off of the magic train right now, but you know, for an important reason. So I hope you all appreciate this celebrity news update.
Yeah.
What are you Googling?
How old John Cougar Mellencamp is.
What's the answer?
Great question. Hold on.
Okay.
Working on it.
Megan is, you know, going to work for you. Tax dollars
Yeah.
at work here, as you can see.
Okay. He's 67.
Wow.
Let's see.
I would have thought he was younger than that, but I guess what do I know about John Cougar Mellencamp?
Right?
A hot lot of nothing. That's what.
A hot lot of nothing. Did you know he had a film career?
I mean, I assume.
Really?
Yeah, why not? He seems
know.
like someone who could go in a movie as the
Okay.
guy cleaning off his Chevy truck. And he's like, you don't want to go that way into town. Go this way. You know, direction guy in the movies.
Okay.
Right at the start.
Also, I clicked on the politics and activism tab.
Yeah.
Under it being like, I wonder what he thinks. And the first thing that says, Mellencamp was critical of Ronald Reagan.
Oh, that's right.
So
'Cause he used his song.
There's some relevant facts.
And he's like, don't use my song in your campaign rallies.
Oh, that's true.
Ultimate Masters preview card.
That's right. Surprise alert.
Yeah, we have preview cards for Ultimate Masters.
I should have just said surprise. No one says surprise alert.
Surprise alert!
Next time you throw a surprise party, please have everyone jump up and shout, surprise alert!
It'll surprise them and alert them.
Exactly, that there is a surprise happening. Well, we've got some Ultimate Masters preview
I know. I'm
cards.
so excited.
Of course you are.
I know I am. So Wizards of the Coast provide us with these preview cards. Thank you so much. And they were very specific with
Yes,
the cards they gave us.
they were really very
Hint,
specific for
hint.
one of us.
I want you to guess right now, wherever you are, say it out loud. I don't care if you're in the middle of the grocery store or at work. What cards do you think we got? Specifically one card.
Say one card.
Just one card. I want to know
Ready?
what you guess is. 1, 2,
2,
3.
3.
Okay. Were you right?
What card did you say? Because the card that we're going to say is...
Slippery Bogle!
That's
Yay!
right. Maria, your little slippery friend is back.
I'm so excited. That means we can draft this card if we play an Ultimate Masters draft. Hexproof deck. Okay, so there's a few things I want to tell you about this card. Megan's checked out.
I know I'm just judging you for
drafting a hexproof deck?
drafting a Bogle.
Well, here's the
Continue
thing.
on.
It has beautiful new art in Ultimate Masters,
does.
which I
It
think
does.
is excellent. Not all the cards are getting new art in Ultimate Masters, so the fact that they respected the Bogle enough to give it beautiful new art, I think is great. Let me take a closer look here. I'm trying to see who the artist is. Jesper Ewing. It's kind of too small for me to read. Anyway, it's a great picture. The little bog is sitting perched on a rock with a fish in its little boggle mouth. And it also has new flavor text.
Yeah. What does it say?
It says, Ogle the Bogle or Goggle the Bogle. Doesn't matter. You weren't going to catch it anyway.
Oh, that's great.
And it's a cute little nod to the community fighting over whether you should say Bogle or Bogle.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're on the Bogle train because it sounds cute.
It does sound way cuter. But Maria, they're not just giving you a slippery little Bogle.
No.
They're giving you a lot of things to put onto that slippery little Bogle.
Hey, if you got your Bogle, you need your toys.
Yeah.
And we've got the best of the best here, Daybreak Coronet.
Of course.
Yeah, it's getting a reprint. I think it's great. And this is the art. That's the cat scarf art.
Yes, Gryffindor cat is the name of the art.
That's so true.
I mean, this cat is definitely in Gryffindor. Have you seen
Yeah,
it?
that cat is in Gryffindor.
Look at that scarf.
For sure.
Look at that scarf.
And then, of course, to help you, I'll talk about the other auras. We've got Spider Umbra getting a reprint.
Yes.
Which is really cool. And Hyena Umbra getting a reprint in Ultimate Masters. And then to help you find these beautiful cards, none other than Heliod's Pilgrim getting a reprint, which is a 2 and a white for a 1/2 cleric. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an aura card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So you do have the tools to build a hexproof deck. I don't know how many Bogles you're going to be able to get, or if other creatures in Ultimate Masters will have hexproof. But at the very least, you can make an aura deck for sure.
Yeah.
And if you get that Bogle, all the more reason to do it.
Oh, wow. I mean, I'm very excited to see these cards reprinted.
Yeah.
You can have such beautiful new foils in your foil Bogle deck.
No, I'm so excited. I think the original printing is fine, but I am really, really excited about this new art. I think it's better.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's gorgeous. And Johannes Voss's iconic Gryffindor cat art, you know? Meow. Yeah. And thanks to Wizards of the Coast for sending us those preview cards.
Yeah, a bunch of other new previews came out yesterday. If you're listening to this on Tuesday, Phyrexian Tower is getting a reprint.
Yes.
Which a lot of people are very excited about because it was a pricey card.
And it's a beautiful new legendary border.
I love the new
legendary
border
land.
on these.
Oh, legendary borders are so great.
They're beautiful.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
Wild Mongrel. 1 and a green for a 2/2. Discard a card. It gets +1/+1 and becomes the color of your choice until end of turn.
That's a good card.
Yeah.
You can do that any number of times.
Exactly.
And excuse me. I'm going to tell about another aura really quick. Eldrazi conscription is in this set. So.
Actually, okay, so you can really go wild.
Yeah. If you don't know, it's cost 8, so it's kind of expensive. Enchanted creature gets, what is it? Plus...
Where is it?
10 plus 10 and has trample and annihilator 2.
Well, very reasonable.
Get wrecked.
So now you know what you're going for. There's also Glen Elendra, Archmage. Classic card, especially if you've ever drafted cubes. This is a cube staple. 3 and a blue for a 2/2 flyer. Blue, sacrifice it. Counter target non-creature spell, and it has persist.
Really tricky to deal with.
Yeah.
And just an excellent card.
For sure.
We have new art from Therese Nielsen. If you're a fan on Fecundity, 2 and a green, whenever a creature dies, that creature's controller may draw a card.
Ooh.
Which is pretty cool. And Treasure Cruise.
My friend.
Getting
my
reprint.
best friend. Treasure Cruise. Now, when we're talking about drafting, let's talk about our real drafting strategy. How many copies of Treasure Cruise?
How many are you going to put in your deck?
I mean, probably 2.
You sound like somebody who might put in more than 2.
You know, I want to. Let's be clear, I really want to. Gurmag Angler, another delve,
all right.
Sick delve card. Just a 5/5 big old zombie fish.
Beastie boy.
But when you can just cast that sucker for, even in limited, if you're casting this for like 4 mana and it's a 5/5.
Still really good.
Nice.
Still really worth it.
Faithless Looting.
Ooh, I would draft with Faithless Looting all
Same.
day.
This is a single red sorcery, draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, and flashback for 2 and a red.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Just to quickly note the value of this set, a lot of people are saying that this is the most valuable set that Wizards has ever printed.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's got good return for what's in the box. And it looks, early doors say that it really does.
Yeah.
You've got Tarmogoyf, Ulamog, just like a ton of really great stuff in this set.
Through the breach with some sweet art.
Oh, yeah. Mercula's jumping in there like,
roar. You called?
Is that how Emrakul sounds?
No, she's like, I've come for tea.
I've come for tea.
I've come for tea. Of course, Liliana of the Veil. We've known that one's coming for a while now.
Yeah.
But still super cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I definitely got to get in a draft of this or a sealed. Been talking about hitting up GP Vancouver.
Yeah, you're thinking about it.
I am.
You're really thinking
I'm really
about it.
thinking about it.
She's
It
thinking
seems
about
really
it.
sweet. Vancouver's a cool place.
Yeah, it is.
Should I do it?
I think you should.
All right. Well, I'm everyone in the comments that tells me to. That's one vote in favor.
Wow. Get out there and vote.
Ready, set, Ultra Pro.
That's right, everyone. Ultra Pro is the place to go if you're looking to pick up dice, dex boxes.
That's a plural of deck box.
Yes, that's right.
Dex boxes.
Dex boxes.
Yeah. Sleeves.
Binders.
Binders.
Trade binders.
Bags to bring to your tournament.
Oh, man. Maria has a bag that changed her life.
Yeah, I love the Ultra Pro bag. It's the messenger bag they have for sale there. It's awesome, and I changed my life at tournaments because it actually is a bag that is fun to carry.
There you go.
It doesn't kill my shoulder.
Aww.
And everyone was using those guild sleeves at the GP, and they look so cool. And people are like, these sleeves are great.
They're gorgeous.
I really love them. I can't wait to break out my Rakdos ones at the next pre-release.
I saw those Rakdos ones this weekend.
Did you spy them?
Yes, I did. No, I mean, I saw I speed a player playing them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're so great.
Yeah, they're real good.
And you can trick people as to what your deck is.
Oh.
Get that edge.
Sneaky.
You know? Oh, I'm going to play my Rakdos sleeves, but I'm playing Jeskai Control.
Or you can level up and be like, so that people will be like, if you have Boros sleeves, people are like, are they on Boros? No, they're trying to trick me.
And
or
then
maybe they're
Boros.
trying to trick me. Exactly.
It's
and
a
then
whole
Boros.
thing in their mind. Mind games. You're going to get ahead.
There you go.
All with Ultra Pro.
We're gonna talk eight Milwaukee top lists. Talk 8 lists. Grand Prix Milwaukee.
This is what happens when you've been working all weekend.
Top
you fly
list.
in a plane and your plane
Deck
lands
lists.
right in your recording studio because that's essentially what happened to us today.
It's true. It really did.
So
how long did I go home for? Enough to eat one bowl of soup and then leave again.
One bowl of purple soup.
This one was normal color.
Everybody.
Actually, I don't know. It's like white because it's potato leek.
Meghan accidentally made purple soup.
I did. Not the potato leek one. This is a different one. I'll tell you about it while we're talking about the top 8 list.
Great.
Oh, it's just that it's a squash and sweet potato, but I didn't realize that the sweet potatoes that came in my CSA box were purple until I started peeling them for the soup, and then I was like, oh, weird.
I think that's fashionable soup.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's just what I think about it.
I mean, it's still fine. I don't love the flavor of squash and sweet potato, but you have to use them, right?
Yeah, you do. New flavor experience.
It really is.
Okay, let's talk about Isaac Kruti. He brought Jeskai Control to the Grand Prix.
Also, he just ran over the competition up until those semifinals.
He went undefeated. He drew into the top 8 the final round.
He started out 14-0.
Incredible.
Yeah. It's a very, very incredible accomplishment. He had one previous top 8 at GP Montreal earlier this year.
He's kind of on a tear.
So putting that time in right now.
And Jeskai Control, classic list here.
Yeah. This was the one that we were talking about when lots of people came. They're sort of like, okay, we're splitting. We've got some Teferis. We've got some Crackling Drakes, because the secret of this deck, they say, is that it's not actually control. It's more like a mid-range deck where you're holding people off.
It is very strange to see Crackling Drake in a control list.
But you've got Crackling Drakes, and then you have 2 Niv Mizzets. But you've also got sweepers like Deafening Clarion.
Settle the Wreckage.
And then there's some, just some other classic
removal, draw cards.
Yeah.
Seems about right.
Exactly. Then we've got Jacob Tilk's Mono White Aggro.
So this is the only aggro deck to survive post Pro Tour to make it into the top 8.
Yeah, it's true. There were not quite a few more, but I think there were 2 to 3 more copies in the top 32.
Okay.
To be fair. So it was still up there.
Yeah.
But it certainly was not the commanding performance that we saw at the Pro Tour.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we expected, because decks like aggressive decks are traditionally pretty easy to metagame against.
Yes.
And in this case, it was a pretty interesting deck that he chose too, because there's no red, not even in the sideboard.
Ooh, that's right. And lots of people did move on to just mono white in the main deck, but all of those, for the most part, we still saw red in the sideboard for Aurelia.
Experimental Frenzy.
Yeah. The big 2.
Jacob Tilk, no. Only planes.
Land. 22 planes.
I love it.
Yeah. But we also saw, to combat that, we were talking about how people can metagame against it.
Yeah.
So many copies of Ritual of Soot.
Oh, yeah.
So many copies.
I mean, that's why Danto Vanguard was printed.
Yeah.
Thumbs up there. Oh, and Turnwald also made the top 8 here, and the innovation in his deck, which was Is It Drake's, were a couple of things. One copy of Entrancing Melody.
Hot.
Which says gain control of target creature with converted mana cost X. It costs X blue to cast. Mm-hmm. And one copy of the Mirari Conjecture.
Dang. Spicy.
Yeah, so this one lets you get instant sorceries back from your graveyard. Chapter 3 lets you copy them. So we saw Owen do some really stupid stuff where he's just drawing a billion cards.
We saw a couple of different decks have this innovation of a single one. And every time that I saw it in play, it was just
It was
wrecking.
so good.
It was very, very good.
Definitely my favorite new card in that deck.
Then we had Seth Manfield's Golgari mid-range, the deck that he was on.
Yeah.
By which I mean he spoke very highly of, as we mentioned earlier.
He did. Yeah, he's got 3 Karns in this deck, 2 Karns, 3 Vivian Reeds, and 3 Carnage Tyrant.
Yeah.
The difference his deck had over other people's was the number of Carnage Tyrants. That differed from deck to deck.
Yeah.
But also he's got 2 Druid of the Cowls as opposed to just having all Llanowar elves.
Yeah, he does have the full 4 Llanowar elves, but also those 2 Druid of the Cowls.
Ramp into Carney T!
Yes. Also 3 copies of Find Finality, which was another way that people were dealing with those white decks.
Card's so
that
bad
says,
for them.
Yeah. 4 black green at the finality side. You may put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature you control. Then all creatures get -4/-4 until end of turn.
Vanguard can't survive that.
Rough.
You want to know how many times I saw 2 counters get placed on a Carnage Tyrant?
Ugh.
It was a lot.
That's really brutal.
Or Carnage Tyrants just got back from the graveyard with Find.
Yeah, I did see a lot of that.
Oof,
in the finals, we saw Adrian Sullivan dealt with a lot of Carnage Tyrants in game 2. 4, but 2 of them were just the
maybe
same
5.
one.
Yeah, it was the
Brought
same
back.
one. Yeah, a few times.
Again and again. It was like, well, here it comes. Because they also had Memorial to Folly in their lands. Some of them did.
Oof.
Yeah. Which lets you get a creature back from the graveyard.
Card is so good.
Yeah.
Brian Lynn from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
That's right. He took down Seth Manfield in the semifinals with his own Golgari mid-range deck. He's only playing 2 Vivian Reeds, 4 Vraska's Contempts. Ooh.
That is a high number.
Yeah, getting everything out of there. Get it all out.
And he did what a lot of people did at this tournament, which was exchange Carnage Tyrants for Doom Whisperers. So he had 3 Doom Whisperers and only 1 Carnage Tyrant in the main deck.
Nice. Doom Whisperer. Just, it's a demon made of arms and it's terrifying. That's all.
I saw somebody Doom Whisper Surveil pay 2 life themselves down to 4 from 22.
That's right. And then what happened to them, Maria?
They died to 2 shocks. 2, I think, an expansion on a shock. Or no, it got back with the Mariah Conjecture. That's what it was. Yeah.
Nice.
It was what a way to go out.
What a way.
After you've been like, I'm probably fine.
Watch out. All right. Now we come to the won it all.
Yeah.
Adrian Sullivan's Jeskai Control, which has classic 3 Teferi, but 2 Enigma Drakes
This
instead
was
of
his
Crackling Drakes.
This card in this deck.
What makes it better?
So he says Enigma Drake, by the way, only differs slightly from Crackling Drake. Doesn't draw you a card when it enters the battlefield, but it is 1 mana cheaper.
Yes.
And that was his
And it
thing.
also only counts instant and sorceries in your graveyard, not in exile.
Correct. He was like 4 mana, tapping out to cast that, which is what sometimes a lot of the control decks would do. He's like, I'm not interested in that. This is cheaper and I can protect it because he's got 2 copies of Dive Down in the main deck.
Wow.
Or he can just play one of his other cantrip spells.
Yeah.
In addition, he just thought tapping out for 4 for Crackling Drake was so bad. And you know what?
What?
As somebody who's played against this deck so many times, I've got to say, when they tap out for Crackling Drake, I'm like, thank God I have a window now.
Yeah.
Right? And the whole thing that Jeskai Control wants to do is not give the opponent a window.
Yeah.
So I agree with him.
Well, there you go. Also, 4 full copies of Niv Mizzet.
Yeah, this is the big boom boom daddy.
And
Can't believe I just said that.
yeah, you did. 4 copies of Treasure Map also.
Yeah, so this is the other weird thing that he did was put treasure maps in over Search for Azcanta.
Yes. This is 1 tap, scry 1, put a landmark counter on Treasure Map. If there are 3 or more landmark counters on it, remove them, transform it, and create 3 colorless treasures. And then you can tap the land and sacrifice a treasure to draw a card. And then 3 copies of Expansion Explosion.
So if you want to see a
My
big
personal
explosion, use a treasure map.
Yeah.
We saw him. Oh, by the way, there's also another weird card in this deck,
Oh, yeah?
which I might come out of the sideboard actually. Let me find it for a second. Boop, 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 boop. Where is it?
What card are you looking
Spell
for?
Swindle.
Oh.
I don't see it in here.
Where is it?
Maybe it got mistyped.
It must have been mistyped.
Because there's definitely Spell Swindle in his list.
Yes.
And that is the card that you can counter a spell with, and then the converted mana
Oh,
costs.
it's right here.
Oh, there
In
it
the
is.
sideboard.
Oh, 1 in the sideboard. Okay. So it costs 3 blue, so super expensive for a counter spell.
Yes.
But you counter the spell, create X colorless treasure artifact tokens where X is that spell's converted mana cost. So once he countered a Carnage Tyrant or cast
Which
it,
can't be countered.
can't be countered.
But you still get the treasures.
Yes. So he got a billion treasures and the explosion for 17.
Yes. that was one of my favorite games to watch.
What?
Because again, it was just like, it was so great to watch someone who found a workaround.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, if the green-black decks are going to pack all these Carnage Tyrants to try and beat me, I'll just find a way to kill them before that Carnage Tyrant can attack me to death.
It's so good. And he has 2 Star of Extinctions, too.
Yes, in the sideboard.
Deal 20 to everything.
Great.
Boom.
Great.
And that's
great.
very flavorful to see multiple Carnage Tyrants die to Star of Extinction.
It's so true.
We're reliving the Dino's final moments.
Wow,
R.I.P.
dark. And then we had another Golgari midrange, Adam Hernandez's Golgari midrange deck. And then Jackson Hicks's Golgari midrange. So Golgari really making a showing.
Yes.
Also several Minneapolis players.
Yeah.
Jackson's a Minneapolis player, as is Brian.
Yeah, and Adrian from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty sweet to
Midwest
see so many
represent.
Midwestern players show up and be like, we can play Magic.
That's right.
The middle of the country allows for this.
Remember when we were like, the Midwest is becoming a bastion of Magic?
Yes.
Look at this.
Bastion status achieved.
I just want that on a shirt. But the real message is you can still play anything that you want in Standard.
That's right.
Everything was there, well represented, exciting games all weekend. Yep. This is a fantastic Standard environment.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing what keeps on going down.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. What's up?
We've got Andrew Elenbogen, Pro Tour champion, with us.
Welcome,
hey,
Andrew. How's it going?
Well, I mean, winning the Pro Tour is pretty amazing, so pretty great overall, I would say.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
How has it been since you won the Pro Tour? Has anything like changed in your life? I imagine so.
Yeah, I mean, it's been totally overwhelming. I've, just been doing so many Magic things that I wasn't doing before, just from like podcasts like this one, or being asked to go on streams, or like random people asking me to sign things, which is just unreal. I mean,
what sorts of things have you signed?
So I was asked at the last Grand Prix to sign a giant island, a copy of the card Is It Charm, a promo version. I was asked to sign. Like a sort of deck box thing. Just whatever people ask me to sign, I sign. I think I need to work on a better signature.
That's very important.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you guys are experts in this already, but
my signature looks like someone like drew a bad schematic for a roller coaster.
I've been practicing mine since I was very young, in anticipation of my Hollywood movie career, so I'm all good.
There you go.
Well, that was very wise of you. Just prepare far in advance for the potential.
Right?
Yes.
Still waiting for that phone call.
And you know what they say about podcasting? It's the next step to a Hollywood movie career.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is what they say.
Yes. So Andrew, tell all of the fine people out there, how'd you get started playing Magic? What has been the Andrew Elenbogen Magic journey?
Okay, yeah. I mean, basically, it's pretty straightforward. At some point, randomly in my childhood, my parents saw the 7th edition box set that came with a CD that you could play against, and they were like, you know what we should do? We should get this for our kid. I'm not really sure what led them to this conclusion, but that is what happened. Magic, can destroy lives. So anyway, they got me that, and I learned to play from it. I would play against the computer over and over and over again. What I can tell you is one thing about that CD is that both decks have ludicrous hate cards.
Okay.
Like one of the decks is like a red-green deck, and the other deck just has a copy of the card Sanctimony in it, which says whenever you tap a mountain, whenever an opponent taps a mountain, you gain 1 life. So just like you would just be playing your spells, your opponent would just gain millions of life just for free from you playing your spells. Anyway, that's not the point of this. But
good to know, though.
The point of this is not the card Sanctimony, but
Sanctimony, very important to my Magic journey. Anyway, so I learned to play on that, but I didn't really play with any humans or have any decks built. I just had some random cards and the 7th edition CD. And then at some point in time, I was at chess camp. Seriously, I was asked, and there was this group of people who at recess, instead of, doing anything physical or getting any exercise of any kind, would sit under the gazebo and play Magic. And I rapidly fell in with that group of people and learned to play Magic there.
Oh. I'm just impressed that in the first place at chess camp, they were like, do you know what these people definitely want? Some outdoors time.
Yeah. Why was that even on the schedule?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good question.
You came to play chess, I know, but hear me out. Get outside and run around.
Yeah. I mean, it was, oh man, it was quite an experience, but yeah.
So chess camp, playing outside, how did this advance? How did your Magic life advance from there?
I mean, after that, I played competitive chess for many years, like all throughout middle school and high school. And throughout that time, I'm playing Magic, but just like not in tournaments, like not Grand Prix or PTQs. I'm just like, my first FN event is in ninth grade. And I'm like, by the end of high school, I'm like winning a lot at FNM, as much achievement as that may be. And then at some point in time, I play this SCG Open. It was SCG Open Cincinnati, I think, like the summer after high school. And I do really, really poorly in the main event. I like scrub out at 5-5 or something. But they have a draft open on day 2. Now, draft opens no longer exist, but at the time, draft opens existed. And what happened is that I randomly won this draft open. I don't know if I was lucky or the competition was not that fierce. It's hard for me to say exactly what happened, but I was kind of hooked after that point. And,
I mean, win one of your first events. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
How many people were playing in that, do you think?
So draft opens were exactly 64 players.
Oh,
they were
not bad.
So it was just like a draft, and then if you 3-0, you make top 8, and then you draft again, and then you play out top 8. That was the format. It was single limit.
That's awesome.
But
also,
yeah,
I want that event.
I know. I want to play this. I want an all-draft pro tour, so that's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty into limited. I mean, I was like a limited specialist for many, many years before I became good at other things. I remember very distinctly when I played my first constructed event. And I mean, it was a long time before I ever did well at a constructed event. But yeah.
Awesome. And so what about after that? So after you win this draft open, what next?
Okay, yeah. So then, it's from that point, I mostly just I started playing some Grand Prix. I wasn't doing anything ridiculous. I wasn't flying to them. And I say that as ridiculous, noting that is a thing I do very, very frequently.
Same.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much I recommend it, but I like it. Anyway, so I'm playing a lot of Grand Prix from that point. I'm an incredibly competitive person. I need a competitive outlet or else I am not a functional human. So I'm just playing all these Grand Prix, just driving long distances anytime anything is remotely close to me. And then at some point, I play Grand Prix Boston Worcester. And Grand Prix Boston Worcester is a modern GP. And I am, I think it's over a break or maybe in the summer. So I drive, it's a 12-hour drive straight from Ann Arbor. We did it in 14 because you don't really drive 12 hours straight. That's insanity.
True.
But our car doesn't need gas.
Yeah. Right. We do not have magic gasless cars. So yeah. And then I drove 14 hours this Grand Prix. And at this point in my life, I had cashed a Grand Prix with Tron. And I play a lot of Tron at my local store. And I was kind of known around my community as the Tron guy. And I top 8 at the Grand Prix with Tron. It was very well positioned for that weekend. There was a lot of Jund and Pod, which were both favorable matchups. There wasn't too much of the bad matchups around. So I think that I kind of qualified before I was supposed to in a skill sense, but I did qualify. And that was my first pro tour, PT Cons. And from that point, I started playing a huge amount of Magic. I was chasing silver and flying to all these GPs and I basically became a Grand Prix grinder. I think that is a fair description of myself. I think that's basically the story.
Yeah, I think when we met you the first time, it was still back in the days when you were the Tron player.
Yeah, I remember you had a foiled out Tron deck.
Yeah, that's correct. I at some point swore that in Boston. Sorry, actually, I misspoke earlier. I didn't actually top 8 Boston. I missed top 8 on Breakers, which is good enough for an invite. And my first GP top 8, like my first actual top 8, was with Tron at Grand Prix Omaha. And I told all my friends at Grand Prix Omaha that if I made top 8 of the Grand Prix, I would finish foiling out the deck because it was like almost foiled at the time. And so I did top 8, and I remember running around the dealers looking for a foil Oblivion Stone.
I remember that because that was my first modern Grand Prix, and I remember watching you in the top 8, and I'm like, wow, his deck is beautiful.
Yeah. I've never really been emotionally attached to a deck that I have had other than my Tron deck, but my Tron deck definitely earned it. I think I definitely won more money with it than it cost to foil it out. So,
wow.
Yeah, it deserved.
That's saying something.
Seeing as you top 8'd one GP and you almost top 8'd another with it, that's a really impressive statement.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. I guess that may have been implied by my previous comments.
So tell us a little bit about this Pro Tour that you won. Going into it, did you feel super confident about your, white weenie deck and hey, maybe this is I've made the right call. I feel good in this format, or are you just kind of hey, I'm going to do this and see where I end up?
I wouldn't say so. I felt pretty medium about it, to be honest. What happened is so leading up to the Grand Prix, so for this Grand Prix, I was working with primarily the Ann Arbor guys and the Team Tower guys. So I was talking a lot with Max McVitie, Tyler Hill, friends of the show, Pirate Boys.
Yeah.
That sort of group of people. And I literally at some point told Greg Michael that I was locked on Drakes and that we should play identical 75s. I literally sent those words. And then actually what happened is, my good friend Kyle Bogle, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, which is embarrassing because he's my good friend, but
this happens to me all the time.
I don't know how to say Maria's last name.
She has no idea.
So no.
Okay, well, don't ask me to say it either, please. But Kyle came over for a playtest session. This is the week of the Pro Tour. I don't know. I think it was Monday night, where the Pro Tour deck lists are due Wednesday night at midnight. And Kyle and I actually don't play any games with White Weenie. We just play a league with Drakes because Kyle's interested in playing Drakes at Grand Prix Milwaukee, which was yesterday. So he wanted to learn about it and also help me prepare. And so Kyle watched me play Drakes, and he goes, at the end of it, he's like, yeah, I don't think you should play this deck.
That's awesome. And you're just well, okay.
Well, kind of. I mean, I was really torn between White Weenie and Drakes for a long time. And I really respect Kyle's opinion. The Ann Arbor guys generally think that he's the best player in Michigan. We think he's better than me or Max or T-Hill. So we have a lot of respect for his viewpoint. And so, from that point, I played a lot with White Weenie, and I 3-2'd a lot of Magic Online leagues.
The old 3-2, send it in.
Yep.
Oh yeah, get that one chest of profit. That's kind of what happened, and I was really unsure if White Weenie was the right call because I knew that the mocks the weekend before, White Weenie dominated. It was everywhere. It was all throughout the deck lists. Just incredibly prevalent, and so I was worried that people were just gonna have unbelievable amounts of hate. Every opponent was going to main deck fungal infection me or something. And I would just not win any matches. But in the end, I didn't have something better. Kyle specifically told me not to play Drakes. I didn't have time to really learn anything else because the two decks I had practiced with a lot were Drakes and White Weenie. So I just locked it in and I just committed to White Weenie. I worked really hard on it the next few days. I think we ended up on a very good list, actually. I think we had one of the better White Weenie lists for the event. It worked out pretty well, I guess.
I'd say
it worked out pretty all right.
How did it feel then when you were doing so well in the tournament? At what point were you kind of I could make the top 8?
Yeah, well, it was quite a while actually because, what happens is like day one, I 7-1, and 7-1 is a great result at the Pro Tour. I mean, it's better than it's a better record than I've literally ever had at a Pro Tour. I think my best day one Pro Tour finish prior to that was 5-3, and
Wow.
so I was pretty ecstatic with that record. And I knew, so I was going into Pro Tour. I was a silver level pro, which meant that basically when you're a silver level pro, you're kind of like on the grind. You're searching for invites. You're on the hunt, I would say. And I knew that if I 11-5'd, I would secure an additional invite from 11-5ing and have enough pro points to be like very close to gold and securing many more invites. So I said to everyone I know, all I want is 11-5. All I have to do is 4-4 tomorrow. It'll be fine. That's the record that I need. What more could I ask for, really?
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
And then my first draft deck is terrible on day two. It's really bad. It's a horrible train wreck. Again, I've since watched some of the coverage, and the coverage suggests that there were literally somehow 4 players in a row drafting Boros, and I was one of them.
Well,
Oh boy.
yeah.
Not
so, yeah, that's ridiculous. But my deck was horrible, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna like 0-3. I'm gonna be 7-4. Then I'll probably like 2-2 standard or something, and I won't 11-5, and then I'll like not requeue for the next Pro Tour, and I'll miss gold, and I'll be so sad. Like, this is brutal. Like, man, if only I drafted a better deck. And I end up pulling out 1 win with the deck. I play against Mark Jacobson, who's a very good player. He has a very good control deck, but my deck has like 2 inescapable blazes. And then the other thing is all my creatures are so bad, they're like heinously bad, that like his first pick of removal is just really not good against them. Like, imagine that I have all these grizzly bears and he's all these command the storms. Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
so I'm able to defeat Mark, even though I think his deck is much better than mine. And I escaped the draft with a 1-2, which I'm very happy with, actually. And then I kind of just run the tables and constructed, like, I don't really think that, like, we broke the format with White Weenie, known best deck going in. I just think that, like, I faced, a lot of close matchups. I drew very well. Many absurd things happened in the, like, latter day of Standard. Like, at some point, I played against Green-Black, right? And I drew all 4 Venerated Loxodons. So my creatures were all gigantic. Like, I just kept convoking everything every turn and not attacking him. And then at some point, my opponent like looks at his hand, looks sadly at the board, and then casts Find to recur Ravenous Chupacabra and a Explore guy, because if he casts Finality, none of my creatures would die.
That's awesome.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. That's like the sort of thing that was happening. I mean, I was just running so hot. And I mean, obviously, to some extent, everyone who's ever top 8 at Pro Tour got very lucky. And I guess I'm only trying to emphasize that I'm no exception. I was very lucky. Many, many things broke my way that easily could not have. But yeah, I was somehow able to achieve a good record constructed, and I did somehow get there. Although, again, there were many ridiculous events, but yeah.
I want to know too, you talked a lot about how, when you were younger, you would watch Luis's videos, LSV's videos, his draft videos that he puts up online. And in the end, you had to play him, in the finals. What was that like?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I mean, it's absolutely true. I'm not just exaggerating the story for the fans or anything. I mean, I very much did grow up on LSV's content. I think LSV is an amazing content creator. I think he's an amazing player. I think that it was really strange to just have, they seat me in the feature match arena first, and when I'm in the finals, I don't know, they found me first in the hall or whatever. So I'm sitting there waiting, and then suddenly LSV sits down, and I'm like, oh man, this is LSV that I'm playing against somehow. This is pretty absurd. I don't really know how this even happened, but yeah, I guess I'm playing against LSV, and yeah, it was pretty overwhelming. But then, we had some pregame banter. We're both pretty friendly. I don't like to take high stakes matches too seriously. I have at some point in time discussed the flavor of Lampholt Pacifist while playing for a Grand Prix top 8.
What is the flavor of Lampholt Pacifist?
Yeah, that's a good question. See, Lampholt Pacifist, has taken a vow never to fight, pacifist, right? But then as soon as someone slightly larger shows up, she's just off it. She's just going to the red zone.
That's a great point.
And also if she gets slightly bigger, if Dramoka's command, you like put a counter on her and have her fight something, she's like, well, now I have a +1/+1 counter. I guess screw this whole pacifism thing. Like, time to break some skulls.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just true.
You know, I never thought about that, but
yeah,
people really can change just on a whim.
So
yeah, I guess that's the moral of the story of Lampole Pacifist.
Yeah. That no matter what you think your convictions are, well, you know, they can change.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit earlier about like some of your Magic journey, and I imagine that winning a Pro Tour is like can be a highlight of a Magic career so far. Were there any times that like what were some other like highs of your career up until this point, and like also were there any moments where you're just like, oh my gosh,
I'm gonna quit,
I'm gonna quit, or like this is so difficult, or like today really sucks in Magic?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think my biggest high prior to this point was actually Grand Prix Minneapolis, home turf for you guys. It was the standard one a couple years ago. It was like the standard that was all about like collected company and green-white tokens.
Yeah. Where Lampole Pacifist was legal, actually.
Yes. And at some point in that tournament, what was happening is it wasn't just that I was doing very well in the tournament, although I was. It was also that Max McVitie was doing very well in the tournament. And I've said a lot of times, and I'm not going to stop saying it, so world be ready. Max McVitie is like my partner in crime, my closest Magic friend, and I work with him very closely for every tournament I ever play. And so at that tournament, we were just both winning, just constantly. And I was like, sitting next to him at tables 1 and 2. And then we played, and he graciously conceded because like he'd already locked an invite to this PT and I hadn't. But then we both made top 8 anyway. And there's this moment where it's the last round. Both of us are locked on any result. We're already locked for top 8, regardless if we win or lose. And we're sitting next to each other, tables 1 or 2, and I just look over and I'm so happy with the situation that I'm in. I'm just like,
aww.
And so that was probably the highlight of my Magic career, for me at least, prior to this point, was just top 8ing Minneapolis with Max, I would say.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that story. How about times when it's been tough for you to kind of keep going in the game, and how did you, persevere?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I'm not sure there's been ever a moment where I seriously considered quitting Magic or moving away from Magic. I mean, partially, I just find it to be so irreplaceable in the sense that, like, so I need a competitive outlet. This is established. This is just a fact about me. And I don't know what to say. That's just very true. And Magic, I have all these friends all over the world who I don't get to, well, world is strong, at least US, all over the US, who I don't get to see. And, if I go to Magic tournaments, I get to see them. I get to hang out. We play board games between rounds. We get to go to Magic dinners, which are probably among my favorite experiences that ever happen. Just like get a bunch of Magic players on a table and hang out for a while. I'm sure you guys are also fans of these.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
big
definitely.
time.
You will never hear like a more impassioned and ludicrous debate
That's
than you
true.
will at a Magic
That
dinner.
is true. Over some absolute nonsense.
Yes.
And Magic players love to eat too. I've noticed. Like we like going places and trying new foods and trying cool stuff, good restaurants.
Yeah, I very much agree. I'm all about the Magic food scene. But yeah, and so I never knew what it would mean for me to quit Magic. Like, what would that even look like? Like, what would my life even be? What would I do with my free time? So I've never seriously considered quitting. I will say that there's one point, like Grand Prix Atlanta, it was what's the set after Battle for Zendikar?
Oath of the Gatewatch?
Oath of the Gatewatch, yes. Oath of the Gatewatch Limited. And I did very poorly. I did not make day 2. I hadn't been day 2ing a lot of Grand Prix around that time. And I was kind of like not really sure what my relationship with Magic was going to look like going forward. I was like, well, maybe I should fight less GPs or take a break or do something. And I don't know. But then like at that moment in time, I wasn't happy with my job. And so like, I think it sort of flowed over to some extent. And I just I felt like a lot of aspects of my life were not that, I don't know, meaningful, you might say, at that point in time. But in the end, I kind of just, I kept playing Magic, and I'm sure happy I did. So I guess it worked out.
Yeah, that's legit.
Yeah, that's great.
Also, that convention center was so cold. Maybe that was part of it. I remember we were working that.
Were we?
We were, and I still to this day.
Oh, yes. It was
like
frigid.
It puts fear into my heart. Thinking about how cold that convention center was. I remember looking at my hands at one point, and they were blue. Like my fingers were literally
you were
tinged
in like
blue.
a hat, a scarf, and a jacket in the feature match area.
Yes,
I recall this.
Anyways, so I'm just saying maybe that was part of it.
I mean, I guess the temperature didn't make quite as much of an impression on me as it made on you guys, but
fair enough.
I mean, I'm not saying you're mistaken in any way. You're probably right, but yeah, that's.
Yeah,
I can't state the extent to which that affected me, but I mean, again, it all worked out okay. I was still pretty, in the end, I kept playing Magic. I had some heart-to-hearts with my friends. I think Greg Michael gave me a good pep talk at that one.
That makes sense. He's a good pep talk person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, since Greg is eternally happy to beat, definitely plays to his strengths.
Yeah. So I actually, like you mentioned, like playing other games between rounds, and I was telling someone just today how you were the person who taught us all how to correctly play the game of Coup.
Oh yeah.
Because literally everyone was playing the game wrong, and it was less fun as a result.
Yeah, you really changed our lives as far as Coup is concerned, for sure.
Wow.
It took that game from,
another level.
Exactly. Almost unplayable to a very enjoyable game. So.
Yeah. I mean, I love Coup. I mean, I love social deduction games in general. I think they're great. I mean, okay, so aside on social deduction games, have you guys ever played Resistance?
No, but I know what it is.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, I have a small story about exactly this, which is that when I play, I have a board game group of friends here in Ann Arbor, and we used to play a lot of Resistance. And a problem you commonly have in Resistance is that, so if you have two people who are both traders, and where everyone else is working together in Resistance, and if the two people who are both traders get put on a single mission, then the deal is it's really important that you submit exactly one failure. Because if you submit two failures, everyone knows that both of you are traders, and then you get destroyed. Basically, is how the game goes.
I want to play now.
And so this is a tough situation to handle because you can't communicate. You can't say, okay, you submit the failure, because then it reveals the table that you guys are traders. And so
you just both have to be on the same page.
Yeah. So what my group of friends did in Michigan to solve this problem is that, so in our minds, we all sort of had this deviousness tier list is how I would describe it. It's we knew who was the most devious and the next most devious and the next most devious, etc. And the rule was that if there were two traders on the same mission, then the more devious player would always submit the pass, and the less devious player would always submit the fail.
Oh my god!
And we didn't say words to establish this; it just kind of worked out that way. But what you should know about this, and the point of the story, is that I was top of the deviousness tier list. So, yeah.
That's great.
I took a lot away from that story. Mostly that also everyone just had
everyone just knew
an agreed upon deviousness tier list.
Yeah, it's a pretty ridiculous thing to do, I admit, but that's the sort of thing my friends are into, I guess.
That's fantastic. What do you think is what is in your opinion the top social deduction game?
Great question.
That's a good question. I think the one I like, currently my favorite is Skull by quite a bit.
Skull is great.
Yeah, beautiful art as well.
I just love that it's the distilled essence of a leveling game. It's just, the game is level your opponents. Just get them. Just figure out what level they're on and be one level higher. It doesn't bog it down with too many rules or cruft. It's just very, pure, I guess.
I'm a big fan of Secret Hitler. That's probably my favorite one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also great.
I was in love with Secret Hitler for many years. Just like literally like at least 3 or 4 years.
Weird sentence. Just a weird sentence, but
yeah, sorry. Content warning. Violates rules about internet rules. But yeah, I can tell you that what happened is my friend group actually played Secret Hitler so much. We played it like every time we got together that we eventually kind of broke it to the point that we can no longer play.
You know what? I can see that happening.
I can see that happening too, yeah.
Yeah, just like we established a set of conventions that like everyone is aware are optimal for the townies, for the liberals. And then like if anyone deviates, we know they're a fascist. And then if everyone follows them, the liberals are just exceptionally likely to win. And because we all know that everyone else knows the conventions, it's just like there's no way out. You're just trapped at that point. The game becomes unplayable.
That is going deep. That is going deep on Secret Hitler. I love it.
Yeah, we go pretty deep here in Ann Arbor. Let me tell you.
Known as a very peaceful, like quaint and nice town, nice place to live. The secret underground board game group is devious and deep.
Yeah, that's very accurate.
I love that.
Oh, but they're not all the same amount of devious.
No.
They have a
Andrew
system.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Do you know, I would say I think mine is still. I haven't played this in a long while because you have to have the right group of people. But Hanabi is still probably my favorite. Although Skull is up there right now.
Yeah, Hanabi might be my. See, I wasn't sure. Maybe I'm classifying wrong. Is Hanabi a social deduction game?
I think so.
Okay.
To an extent.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly love Hanabi. Hanabi is probably my favorite non-Magic game, full stop. But I wasn't sure if it fell into this category. I guess the borders are kind of murky.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, if we count it Hanabi, and if we don't count it Skull.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
great.
That's fair enough.
I want to ask you my favorite question we ask guests who come on our Magic the Prothering show.
Yes.
Which is, what makes you good at Magic? You know, what is your specific thing that you have that makes you good at the game?
Yeah, that's I love this question actually. You should So I think there's a couple of things. So the first is that I'm very I'm pretty self-aware in a Magic sense, and what I mean by that is like I know that there's things I'm good at and things that I'm bad at, and decks that I can play and decks that I can't. And I know when I'm supposed to listen to other people and when I'm supposed to ignore them and listen to myself. It's like if you ask me, like, Andrew, like, if we hand you like a stock Jund list for this Modern tournament next week, will you do well? And the answer is no. It doesn't matter how well this Jund is. I cannot play it. And I'm just aware of that. I also, it helps because I'm pretty honest with myself and with others about like matchups. Like there's a lot of people in the Magic world that if you ask them like, you know, how is your deck against this or how is your deck against that? You'll sort of realize that they actually believe that their deck is favored against everything all the time, or at least they'll tell you that. And this is really poor for collaboration because like if you're working with a big group, it's like, well, this one guy just tells me every match is favorable for the deck that he likes, so I can't trust anything that he says. And I would like to think that I am not like that. I think that in general, if you ask me my decks, I will tell you that they have bad matchups. I will not stand here and say like, you know, if you play White Wing in Standard, every matchup is favorable. Like I'm not going to tell you that. I will say like, look, you know, if people play Matt Nass's build of green-black and they have like Doom Whispers and a lot of cast downs in the main and they have like Gold Minimize in the board, I think they are substantial favorites. And like, if you play my Wingy deck, you must accept this. Like this matchup is not great.
Yeah, that's legit. Go ahead, keep on.
Well, no, I mean, I think that's a big part of it, of why I'm good at Magic. I think knowing where you stand and having accurate beliefs about what is true goes a long way in letting you, I guess, make progress.
Yeah, and I really like your attitude, too, I have to say. You have a lot of fun when you play the game, and that's obvious watching you play. And the fact that you said what you said earlier, which was, I don't put too much stake on high-stakes matches. or invest too much emotionally or whatever. And I think that's like so smart, right? Because obviously, you know, luck is a factor, your draw is a factor, whatever. And if you can just have a good attitude about it, you're going to be a lot less hard on yourself when you take a bad beat.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And I mean, I think in some sense, I think this is a metaphor for life. To get like, you know, galaxy brain for a second here. Like when you play Magic, you do everything you can. You know, you play the best deck you can. You have the best sideboard plans you can. You know, you make the best plays you can. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of randomness, and like things will work out for you or they won't. And you kind of have to just like roll with the punches. I mean, what will be will be. Sometimes you just lose. It doesn't matter who you are. And I think real life is very much the same.
Great point.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah, I think it also makes a lot of sense with what you were saying, and like we said, we talked to the Pirate Boys last week, and what they said, which is that like you are very much like a team player. Like when you were talking about Kyle, and it's just like if Kyle tells you not to play this deck, you're not going to play it. Just like it's nice to see how much you work with the people around you, and like how much you understand also their strengths.
Right.
And
trust them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it has been proposed so before I've talked about creating Magic content, I don't know if I ever will. It's the sort of like idle dream, like I should start a bar. But I've talked before with Greg about like, if I ever did that, one segment on my, I don't know, blog or whatever is like someone comes on and I ask them to who I know very well, and I ask them to talk about their strengths as a Magic player, and then I tell them what I think they are.
Great, I love it.
Yes.
Because historically, I think that when my friends have described their own strengths, I believe that I describe them more accurately. But
well, you know, you're on the outside. You know?
Yes, I freely admit that's an advantage. I freely admit that, like, to some extent, I'm good at this because I'm not as, I guess, self-interested. But
and you don't have to be humble.
Yeah, that's true. It is so much easier to talk about other people than talk to yourself. It's hard to just like sit there and say like, I am extremely good at this. You know, this is what I'm just amazing at. But like, if I sit here and tell you guys that like, you know, Max McVitie is one of the strongest technical players when it comes to aggro decks that there is, and just like in game when he's playing aggro, he just makes almost every decision every turn correctly. Like that's a lot easier for me to say than for him to say.
Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah, agree.
All of which I do believe, by the way. But yeah.
So what's next for you?
Yeah.
That's a good question. It's really hard to say. I mean, these last 2 weeks have been crazy. I mean, I am a weekend warrior. I still have a day job. I work full time as a software engineer. So, you know, I've been doing all these Magic things in the evenings, like this one, for instance. And that's great. I love doing podcasts and streams and stuff, but it also takes up my time, and I already don't have that much time. And, you know, like when I played GP Milwaukee last weekend, I was kind of under practiced because I just was doing too many things. And so going forward, I guess I kind of have to reevaluate my priorities and the extent to which the role that I want Magic to play in my life. And I don't really know the answer to that. Like, to clarify, when I say the role I want to play in my life, I'm not in any way considering like not playing Magic. It's more like I'm wondering how much additional time should I devote to Magic-related things.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess I'll let people know when I know.
Fair.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
fair.
That makes a lot of sense. So, you know, like think about what are you gonna do? You want a pro tour?
Yeah, I mean that is still surreal and insane. But I mean, I know for a fact that when I talked to Max before the Pro Tour, he literally told me, if I win this Pro Tour, I will probably quit my job and to like play Magic full time for a year. And I don't know if I feel that way. I like my job. I generally enjoy my work and the people there. And I do think that, like, you know, I am unlikely to be good enough that I could really support myself doing that. So I feel that I'm not going to do that, but maybe I should try to work less hours, cut back, you know, and go talk to my boss about like working a lot of 4-day weeks or something.
Yeah.
So I
Hey, boss. I'm a
big deal.
I'm a big deal now.
I want to know, did you said, I think in your profile interview, that your mom was the first person you were going to call if you won?
Yeah.
What did she say?
My mom was very ecstatic. She said that she got some of her friends together and they watched me play, even though they have no idea like what the rules are even. And they were just talking about what the commentators were saying and like trying to follow it. And she was very great about the whole thing.
That's so cute.
That's so great. Well, whatever you decide to do next, I'm sure it's going to be awesome. So
yeah, I hope so. And I mean, we'll see, I guess. Maybe I'll end up, I don't know. I have no idea. We'll see what happens.
If people want to follow what you're doing or, interact with you in any way, how should they do that?
Sure. I'll shamelessly plug myself for a moment. My Twitter is at AJ Elenbogen, which are just my initials and my last name. And I am pretty responsive there. People can message me on Facebook, even if they're not my friend. I regularly check my messages, even of people who are not my friends. So I will be responsive there as well. In general, I'm pretty active on social media. I like Magic people. I don't know if I can say I like all people, but I think that people can contact me in those ways.
Perfect.
Great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We so appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great talking to you.
Great talking to you guys as well. I really enjoyed being here.
Well, everybody, that's our show.
Episode 304 is ready to close the door.
As John Cougar Mellencamp would say, that's our show.
His hit song, That's Our Show?
I just assumed like at the end of a concert he would say something.
Oh, yeah, that's our show.
That's our show.
That's our show and it's time to go. Time for me to hit the road. My name is John C. Mellencamp and I know that I love Meg Ryan and her toes. Wow, did you know he had a thing for toes? Now you do. That's literally lyrics from his new song.
Wow. You really know what's going on with John Cougar Mellencamp. Also, so many places online just call him John Cougar.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
That is strange. Although I would know who they're talking about.
Yeah, it's true. But like John Cougar Mellencamp is so satisfying to say in its entirety.
I agree.
Well, anyways.
Anyways, that's our lovely show. Hit us up on the internet wherever you like to be. That's where we are, chances are.
Yeah, that's right. You can find us on Facebook. Find our page. You can also find us on Twitter at GLHF Magic. Watch our YouTube videos, including that sweet new Keyforge one. If you're like, is this something that I want to play?
Yeah.
Well, watch us play and then let that help you decide.
We're on Instagram also at GLHF Magic. Come follow us.
Which is
cool
like
posts.
Twitter, but only pictures, and you don't have to listen to people say dumb things.
That's true. That's true.
Sometimes when I can't emotionally handle Twitter, which is constantly now, actually, I barely go on there. I go to Instagram. I'm like, I'll look at pictures of dogs.
Yeah.
And cats.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's a nice place.
Yeah.
It's a nice place.
Well, everyone, until next week,
keep it nice.
Do what you're doing.